Hello, it is my great pleasure to share with you today another card from my Everyday Enchantment tarot deck, and it's another major card because I'm doing those first. And as you can see, it is the Wheel of Fortune, which is a very exciting card. And as I will come back to when I'm talking about it, is a pivotal card, which is very apposite as there is one in the middle of a wheel. So I could go on and on and on about this card, but as I've said in other videos, there are so many very outstanding videos on the internet about the Wheel of Fortune and the whole major arcana, so you can do as much research as you like. What I'm doing is focusing on my interpretation, and I hope that will give you either an introduction to this deck or more insight into it. So let us begin. Over here we have the Rider-Waite version, the traditional, or what I would call traditional version of the Wheel of Fortune, which is incredibly different. But my whole aim with the Everyday Enchantment deck was to translate the traditional, more esoteric, arcane type symbolism into something that everybody could relate to now in their daily lives. And the wheel is particularly arcane, and it can be quite impenetrable and off-putting, I suppose, if you're a complete beginner or somebody that's just curious about the tarot and comes across this and thinks, I can't deal with that. It's too confusing, and it looks, well, I did read somebody saying the other day that it looked creepy. I wouldn't say it was creepy, but it could certainly put people off, I think, if that was their first impression of the tarot. So I had to try and translate this without losing any of the meaning and the essential magic of the card, and not to make it, as I've said in other videos, not to make it into an idiot's version of it or to patronise people with, you know, very basic interpretation, but to make it as profound as I could, but also as accessible as I could. And as you can see, this one was unusually difficult to interpret in a contemporary way because it has virtually nothing that you can grasp onto besides the wheel itself. I don't think I took anything from the symbolism that's on this card, except for perhaps if you were going to stretch a point, you could say that this gentleman chap here, which some people interpret as Anubis, could possibly be, that's really tenuous, but he could possibly be this dog that is accompanying the man on his journey of following the wheel. But besides that, there is very little that you could connect with the two lots of imagery between the Rider-Waite and my version that you're seeing here. So, the Wheel of Fortune. Its basic premise is that our luck is going to change and that we're in the hands of fate. Now, that's something I focused on much more in my Wild Spirit deck, because the Wild Spirit version is actually called Web of Fate. And as I've covered in a recent video, I have done an updated version of this as part of my Wild Spirit revamp, but please see the other video if you want to know more about that. That's just a quick look at it. I'll look at the first version, the original version of it, just for now though, otherwise it's going to get too confusing. So in this version, there are the three fates, and you could say, in fact I did have this very much in mind, that in my Everyday Enchantment version here, that the three cheering people, 1, 2, 3, could also be interpreted as the fates. But to me, their general meaning is more that they are excited about the change that is coming. They are cheering, they are rooting for this chap that is going to be in the process of change, and whatever that change may be, they're saying roll with it. That's the absolute fundamental thing, just roll with it. The wheel turns, the fates spin, and somehow we will roll with it. Sometimes we're up and sometimes we're down. And another way I was going to interpret this was going to be a big wheel or a Ferris wheel in a fairground. So sometimes we're up and sometimes we're down. And another card in the Everyday Enchantment deck, which really touches on this again and reinforces it, is the Six of Coins, which I hope you can see. Yeah, it really focuses on the fact that we could either be the people that are in the street begging, oh, he's holding his cap out for money, or, as I call this lady, Lady Bountiful, who is bestowing coins on them. And there's loads of other meanings to this card, but you could take it as well, that sometimes we're up and sometimes we're down, and you know, it's that thing of be careful how you treat people on the way up, because you'll probably see them on the way down. You know, positions can change, things can flip on the turn of a coin, basically. But more on that in a whole other video. So yes, that was just showing that within the tarot, this wonderful seamless whole of the tarot, as in a WHOLE, not a whole, that the collective body of the tarot, it just encompasses so many connections between the cards, so many subtle links, and we'll come back to that again later in this video. So the wheel, what it offers us, for better or worse, is an opportunity to change, and an opportunity to grow. It's basically, well, I haven't had one for a while, so there's one now. It's basically it's about revolution in our lives. Revolution. I was actually going to subtitle this card, because all the cards in the book have a subtitle. I was going to subtitle this card, and excuse my pronunciation, but I was going to subtitle it Vive la Révolution, because these people are cheering for the revolution. Basically, it's a good thing, you know. It's offering us that chance to move on, to be different. It tells us that we can turn things around. That's what it's all about. We can turn things around. There's so much wonderful symbolism in the tarot, and I have tried to encapsulate that here with this tire that is rolling out of the picture. And again, it's a pivotal moment for us, and it's a pivotal card. There's the pivot in the wheel. Everything revolves around it, taking us up, taking us down. We don't know what's coming next, but change is coming. It's just we need to roll with it. Now, the preceding cards on the Fool's Journey of the Major Arcana, they have offered us opportunities to be prepared for this moment. So, for instance, the Chariot, these are all my everyday enchantment cards. The Chariot has given us the confidence, the inner strength to deal with that. And the card Strength has given us the resilience, that absolute will and courage to deal with things. And the preceding card, the Hermit, has also given us an opportunity to develop a really strong spiritual core, to center ourselves in something that sustains us, no matter whether the wheel is turning up or down, whether a bottom or top. It gives us that absolute centering core of stability, as you'll find in the center of a wheel. But that is our spiritual core, which the Hermit has encouraged us to fortify, to strengthen, to develop. So when the wheel turns, we're ready. We are the hub of the wheel, and our experiences are like the spokes radiating out. We keep the centre, and the experiences form from that. And then the tyre itself, I thought it was really important to have something that was, you know, it's a rubber tyre. It's durable, it's flexible, and it reminds us to bounce over obstacles and bumps, and not to get stuck in a rut. It's not something that's likely to burst when it's just going over a few little, you know, stones in the road. It's got flexibility, and that's another thing. It's talking to us about keeping the strong center, letting the experiences happen, and going with it, rolling with it, bouncing over any little obstacles that we might find. And we find that if we roll with it, life might be better. In fact, it will be better, because the Wheel of Fortune is generally thought to be a positive indication of change, even if that means that we need to grow. And so it's going to be a bit difficult, but ultimately it will be a good thing for us. And the rainbow in this card that leads from the garage, because this man is a mechanic, leads from his garage, his workplace, where the tyre is rolled out down this slope. And as it's rolled, it's created a rainbow down here, which indicates, that this is a good opportunity. It's a thing that we should be welcoming, like the cheering people are already doing. They're showing him the way, and the man himself is smiling. He doesn't look like he's having a bad day. He's happy to be chasing after this, and we'll see what he says in a moment. This is one of the main everyday enchantment tarot cards that blends ordinary reality and fantasy very much more prominently than some of the other ones do. There are things going on in this card that we wouldn't necessarily see in what we would term as ordinary or consensus reality. These are extraordinary, magical things that are beyond what we would consider to be just everyday experience. They are the everyday enchantment, but really brought to the fore. So it's quite in our face, really. These things happen. The wheel greens the tarmac as it rolls along, and it rewilds the concrete. So it's bringing good things as it goes out, and it's moving onwards, showing us that we're on a journey, showing us that we don't know what the next thing is going to happen over here, but something is. And there are some coins. There are some coins, gold coins, as well, which are connected with good fortune. So altogether it's quite optimistic in whatever way you take it. There's going to be a good outcome, whether it's immediately or somewhere down the road. And it's a card that reminds us that magic happens to anyone. This mechanic is just a regular bloke. He's not fanciful. He's rooted in his practical tasks. And yet here he is, he's completely open. Look at his posture, he's open to change. He's up for it, he's going for it, he's receptive to a different way of seeing and being. He's decided to take the challenge. This is going to be a little bit of an awkward thing, but I was going to read a bit of what he says in the book, because in the book, as I've mentioned before, people speak in the first person. That's one of the things about this deck. It's unusual in the fact that the card characters, the protagonists of the cards, speak to us. Let me try and find the bit. I'm not a dramatic sort. I'm a mechanic, not a poet. But I could have sworn that as that tyre rolled on, picking up speed, and all sorts of fantastic things happened. The neglected verges burst into bloom, and the white road markings turned into a rainbow. Perhaps it was the sun glinting off the metal hub of the wheel that dazzled me, but at the time, running down that road, I thought I saw gold glinting at the end of that supernatural spectrum. And why not, eh? I just knew that if I went with it to see where it would take me, then it could lead me to good things, like a new investor for my business. Who knows? Who dares to dream? And he who dares wins. Fortune favours the brave, so be like me and don't turn away when Lady Luck throws the dice, or the tyre, your way. Turn and turn about. It's my turn now, and good luck to you too. So that's what he says in the book. So he's made himself available for a wild ride, and the cars in this image, because it is a garage and there are cars and the tyre belongs to one of them, the cars give us an indication of that this is a ride, it's a journey, it's something that is progressing. And where am I? Sorry. Yeah, he's happy about it. And as I just tried to point out earlier in the video, because the tarot is such a beautifully connected and seamless system, we can find the cards that show us graphically what would happen to us if we choose to ignore the wheel, or resist the wheel, try and put a spoke in the wheel, or just reverse the wheel's progress. Any of those things he could have done. He could have chosen to do any of them. In fact, perhaps he could, at any point along this progress, he could decide, oh, forget it, I don't want to do it. But at the moment, he's showing us that it's a good thing to just follow this and see where it leads in our life. And so if we we could try and stop it or reverse it, but if we don't notice the things that would make us do that, our negative patterns, the things that would hold us in place and want to stop the wheel and not have any change, then we're probably destined to repeat the cycle. It's a card that also brings that, issues will keep coming up, the same people will keep coming up, the same situations will keep coming up. What are we going to do about it this time? Are we going to change our behaviour? Are we going to learn from it and move on? Or are we just going to say, no, I'm not doing this? And if that's the case, then those things that we're hanging on to, like bad habits, they will become more and more ingrained, and then sooner or later this chap might turn up, the devil, because at that stage we've probably gone in too deep to those things that keep us from developing, from growing to our best potential, to becoming our best selves. The devil could be an indication of that further along the line if we choose not to go with it. Or indeed we could get the Tower further along the line, which will really, it doesn't give us a gentle opportunity to roll with it. It actually shakes us up to our very foundations in a much more dramatic way, and that could be something that comes up along the line. And neither of those are disastrous in an irreversible way, but they are, you didn't take up this opportunity, so therefore now we're going to really think things are going to start becoming a little bit more challenging, because you were given the opportunity to deal with them here, and they've come up again. They will keep coming up again. So the whole deal of the wheel is roll with it and enjoy the ride. As dear Bill Hicks, the lovely comedian, said, it's just a ride, a choice between fear and love. And there we go. I think that is all I am going to say about the Wheel of Fortune today. Although I refer you on to all the other fantastic videos that will give you much more insight into the traditional card. This is my take on it only. I am a great enthusiast and lover of the tarot, but this is just about my deck, and it's all I can fit into a video. I'm sure we could talk about it together for a long time, but just for now, I think that's enough, don't you? I will be back in my next video, hopefully, when I will be talking about the World, which was the next card that has been requested that I looked at. So that will be my next video, looking at the Everyday Enchantment World, and we'll be referring to the Rider-Waite version and to my Wild Spirit version as well, and anything else that comes up at the time. But for now, I have gone on long enough, so I will just send you my deep gratitude for your bearing with me. I hope you got something worthwhile from this video, and if you did, I'd love to hear what it was, or any thoughts that you have, or which cards you would like to see next. It's all very welcome. I love your comments. I always try and I do always get back to you. It just takes me time. As I've explained before, I am slow for various reasons, but I will always get back to you because I value those comments so much. I can't tell you how much it means that people take time out of their busy lives to tell me something on there. So thank you for that very much, and I send you all my love, and please take care of yourselves and all other beings you encounter. Oh, and while I'm saying that, again, in this card we have representatives of our non-human relations. We have the dog, we have a bee, we have flowers, and we have an unseen being here. There are always representatives of our non-human relations, and take care of all of our relations. That's what I always say at the end of when I'm writing something, for all our relations, with love. Thanks for watching. Bye.